I don't know if you know Alex, but he's kind of a legend in my eyes. He works over at AT&T, and this guy's a hackathon. He probably had hackathons more than he is like at his own house. I think how many hackathons did you do last year?
Pushing 30.
Pushing 30. So I want to give it away to Alex Don, who's our moderator tonight. Harold Goldberg, who you met, who's the CMO of Kony Solutions. And I want to bring up some other folks. Duncan Logan from Rocket Space. Derek Markell from Get Around. Where's Jamie? Jamie Davidson from Hotel Tonight. And they're going to get a chance to introduce themselves. So I'll let you take it over.
All right, let's give them a big round of applause. Actually, a big thanks to Ryan for setting all this stuff up, as well as the Mobile Monday team for getting this all out here into space and everything. So why don't we start off with quick introductions, left to right.
I'm Harold Goldberg. I'm the CMO of Kony, but I guess from an introductory point of view, I've been in technology for about 28 years. I spent 14 years on the healthcare side, on both clinical and administrative systems. And then I went to go work for Remedy, so kind of learned the help desk business and workflow business. That took me to BMC through an acquisition. Then I was the CEO, as Ryan said, of Zen Technologies. Learned a ton about a huge PHP community and what a great communities are in general, what they can do in technology. And eventually made my way to Kony. I've been at Kony for about a year.
I just realized this is like a hair product advert here. We have all 4 cases of hairstyles here. My name's Dr. Logan. L'Oreal is my, no. I'm the founder and CEO of Rocket Space. Hands up here who has heard of Rocket Space. Okay, I do this at every event. This guy will be getting more. So Rocket Space is a technology accelerator. We have about 130 companies in there at the moment. To get into Rocket Space, you must be a technology company and you must be seed funded or beyond. We've had a number of companies in the travel space, Uber being notably one of them, who I think are now pretty much heading to be bigger than us as a community on their own. Prior to this, I'm from Scotland originally. I moved over here when we sold a previous company called Message Labs to Symantec. I've been here for 5 years and love it. It's a great place.
Cool. Thanks, Duncan. My name is Derek Marcial. I'm the owner of all of our consumer-facing products at GetAround. That includes our website as well as our recently relaunched iPhone app. We just launched at the end of February, and one of the big things is that you can now rent instantly a Tesla Model S using GetAround. A little bit about GetAround: we're a peer-to-peer car-sharing company where owners can rent out their cars to their community and earn money while doing so. And a little bit about me: I was a software engineer for about over 10 years before focusing entirely on product. Prior to GetAround, I worked for IMVU, and I owned a lot of their monetization and retention products for their 3D chat client. Been living in the Bay Area for about 13 years, and I'm originally from Philadelphia, so I still love all of my Philadelphia sports teams.
Hey, I'm Jamie Davidson. I head up product at Hotel Tonight. Hotel Tonight, real quickly, is the best way to basically book a hotel room last minute. That's the name. It's also a yield management channel for hotels to move sort of rented inventory. Prior to Hotel Tonight, I worn a variety of hats, started a company doing yield management for restaurants. Worked at Kleiner for a little while, and then was at Google for a number of years.
All right, thank you guys. Actually, kind of turn it out to the audience here. How many of you guys here have a startup in mind? You guys are looking to start something up. Raise your hands. And to keep those hands up, how many of you are interested in like having a mobile application? All right, that's still not, but okay. So where I was hoping to kind of try to drive some of the discussion was if you're looking at mobile, building a mobile application, what are some of the challenges you'd be looking at, right? So how many have product or like a semblance of an HTML5 app, or have looked at the options of building building applications? A couple of you guys, some of you guys out there. Okay, so you know the, so if you guys could talk a tiny bit really quickly about, this is probably more towards Kony, the options that are available to developers out there, as well as just even as product managers and marketing people. What do we have to go through? If I wanted to build an app to sell T-shirts online, what do I have to do?
Yeah, so I'll give you an interesting stat that we've been at this for 6-7 years. About 70% of the problems in an app are in the design phase. So it's actually the communication between the person who's designing it and the developer. And it's really important to understand this. Like if you're a one-person shop, it's not an issue because you're conceiving the T-shirt app and you're actually coding it. But once you get beyond one person, you introduce, I guess, human relations. And what ends up happening is that the business person or the person who's got a vision for what that app needs to be has that vision. And then when they turn it over to the developer often will not translate everything that they hear. So it's actually interesting that in the mobility space, which I think is different than the web space and certainly client server before that, the experience is everything. You only have one chance to get it right. And you have to have a really tight relationship between the design piece and the app coding piece. The coding piece is actually relatively easy. And if I had to give a piece of advice, it really is invest in that design and make sure that before you go and code anything, you've actually laid out your screens, you understand how they're going to work and how they're going to perform, the performance level that you want of those. So I would start there. I'm sure this panel has lots of other things to say, but
Any additional comments?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So 100% agree. It's complicated. So Hotel Tonight's on launch on the iPhone. Launched, I guess, maybe about 9 months ago. The iPad. It's been on Android for about a year and a half or so, and just recently launched Android tablets. So sort of four platforms, all of which need to be considered sort of very, very granularly. So the user experience varies across platform. It's incredibly important to sort of have a design team speaking very, very frequently with developers. One thing I'd sort of echo, as well as sort of thinking about the user experience, I mean, mobile app distribution is really sort of a difficult, sort of still the Wild West, and there's no proven channels, and like Apple's closed down channels, Google's sort of opened up channels, Facebook's playing really interestingly. There's no sort of proven distribution channel aside from building a great product and aside from sort of word of mouth, which is really difficult. So, to echo like everything they're saying is it's all about the user experience.
Yeah. I think with GetAround, we're actually a lot further behind, say, Hotel Tonight or some of the other companies that are out there. We've mainly focused entirely on iOS for now because I think, for us, it was really about nailing the mobile experience and wanting to kind of figure out what really works well with our customers. We have a very sort of nuanced product that has some similarities to other sort of mainstream rental companies, but there are still some subtle differences that we wanted to learn about before we started informing other platforms that we could move into. So we've sort of split our time, obviously for due to some resource constraints. We're not a very big team. We're only a company of 25, but we've managed to just sort of invest ourselves more on our mobile web, so that if you happen to have a smartphone or an iPad, you can open up our website and it'll work responsively for you. But I think we will be shifting towards Android towards the tail end of this year. But just again, for now, since we just relaunched our iPhone app, we're hoping to move to Android later in the year.
So speaking of platforms, how many of your Android users in here?
Android.
iPhone, iOS, the rest of the room. Somebody's got to raise hands for Windows, right? Come on, you guys. Show me. Raise it up. We got to show support for Microsoft. BlackBerry too, right? I got to say that because I'm AT&T, right? So how many of you in the audience notice the difference between HTML, mobile web versus native applications? Raise your hand. Good. So now here's a hardball question for you guys, especially Kony. Talk to us about the difference of user experience, like why it's important, as well as the mobile web and then and HTML5. Because AT&T, we push HTML5 pretty heavily. That's our cross-platform. We see the fragmentation in Android and in the different platforms that people have to, the developers have to develop on, as well as the choices that the product managers, marketing people have to make. And we hear what the audience, what you guys, user experience is a big piece. So if you guys can talk to us about that.
So if I could draw a graph, it's kind of HTML5 declines as the sophistication of the app grows. HTML5 is great, and but like all silver bullets, it's actually not a silver bullet. There are some serious limitations to it, and it really does depend on the app that you want to build. So if you're building an app that has, we're here to talk about travel, so let's talk about travel. I have a customer who told us about what they're envisioning in their hotel of the future. And the hotel of the future is, I drive up to that hotel, and it knows that I'm there. So now I have a geolocation interconnection with whatever device I have, Android, Apple, it doesn't matter. I walk in, they hand me a card, or it's sitting there already, and I go into my room. And in that room, so we'll just use an iPad as an example, that iPad now is basically my command and control center for everything. I can change the temperature in the room, I can turn on and turn off the TV. I want to see where the closest restaurant is, so I'm using geolocation for that. The camera is highly underutilized in many, many apps. And if you want to do sophisticated stuff with the camera, then you have to write in native, and HTML5 kind of falls down there. And then when I leave the hotel, I'm going to get a survey, I'm going to get loyalty points, and then when I leave far enough, it's going to lock that room automatically because I know I'm out of a certain area, and it's going to make that room available through an alert to the maid service to go and clean it so that the next person can come in. So the idea is you won't have multiple remotes in the room, you won't have a thermostat, you won't have any of that. You will have your own device, and you can go into any XYZ, Marriott, Hyatt, the chain that you prefer, and your control of that room is going to be there. That's a very difficult app to build in just in HTML5. You can build many components of it, but if you actually want to take advantage of both the screen layout and the capabilities that an iPad has today, and more importantly, what's coming tomorrow, which we don't know about yet, you want to be able to also control the native capabilities. So it's a difficult question to answer. And now I'll just give you the commercial. All right, so that's the kind of good advice answer. The commercial is, that's why Kony exists, which is that I've got literally 500 engineers in Hyderabad who are working on making sure that regardless of the app operating system, whether it is hybrid or native, we take care of that heavy lifting. And so it's a trade-off. Obviously, we can't do everything, but we can do most of what most apps, sophisticated apps, need today. And so it also does boil down to where you are in your company's development. And if you're a 3-person shop, you don't need a tool like ours. But if you're trying to roll this out across multiple enterprises, you must have a tool like this to take advantage of technology.
I'm either at the wrong event, or I'm going to change it to more of the consumer side. But first of all, just from the Windows 8 thing, I think this is a really interesting thing there, because we have a pretty good relationship with Microsoft at Rocket Space, and there's a lot of information underneath there that people forget. Microsoft still owns the desktop. I mean, within corporates, it just has, I think it's still a 92% market share. And when Microsoft, and a lot of those people who are working on those computers get their technology from their company. And that's something really we forget about here in the Bay Area. Whenever I speak to family or friends who aren't in the Bay Area, I say, what phone are you on? They go, well, whatever the company gives me. And people who don't take advantage of it, it's a nightmare trying to get stuff. We see companies all the time trying to launch new apps, trying to get new things up into the iOS or Android platform and get noticed. It's a nightmare. I think there's real opportunities for companies to get ahead, to get out on the Windows 8 platform. It is, without a doubt, it is going to be a significant market piece for some companies to get out there. And I think people are too quick to go straight to Android and iPhone that they forget the rest of the world isn't living in San Francisco. There is an opportunity there. Anyway, I'll hand over to
that. That actually is an excellent point, right? So I travel all around the place for hackathons. Miami, believe it or not, has a very strong, actually, to Kony's point, Miami is a fantastic developer ecosystem out there. And if you're ever looking to hire, it's a great place to hire. So talk to us a tiny bit more about the enterprise space. I'm actually kind of interested in hearing your guys' if you've seen like kind of for the two startups, how your product development, if you talk to product development for the application as you've seen it within the company, but more to your point of enterprise, right? Because that's also where I see a lot of opportunity as well. For the mobile application space, that the desktop's already there, your backend's already with Microsoft, and a lot of your committed resources, your dollars have already gone towards the enterprise, and it's already there. So build us the case for Microsoft.